In this video, we're talking traditional character meet and greets are returning this month. We're talking Maynard, Disneyland legend, is retiring, and the Disneyland Resort is halfway through their reopening. We're going to discuss all of that up next. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of OG55. I have a fantastic panel with me today. We brought back Kingdakha. Yes.
Great to be back. Thank you guys for having me as usual.
It's great to have you back, Ka. It's great to have you back. We'll start with you, sir. If you can let everybody home know where they can find you on social media.
Gotcha. Well, if you guys do not know me, my name is Karik, aka Kingdakha. That's why I go by. So on Instagram, it's Kingdakha_92. Twitter is Kingdakha92. My YouTube channel, Kingdakha92, if you didn't guess it. I think there's no 92 on. Just type in Kingdakha, you'll find it. And yeah, I think that's it.
Pay attention, it's showtime.
Yes. And for those of you at home, I will be linking Ka's channel in the description. So click on that, subscribe, and watch his content. He does amazing work. So definitely check him out for sure. And I got Mr. Freshly Squeezed, Vash Sky, with me again. Dre, how you doing today, sir?
Doing pretty good. Just it's so excited about today's show. I think this is gonna be really, really fun. But the place where you can find me is at Twitter. That's at Vash Sky. Best place to find me, interact with me, all of that. And there's been some pretty robust discussion on there. So if you want to take part in the conversation, there you go. And well, if you want to see me, well, it's on the channel you're watching right now, Orange Grove 55 at Freshly Squeezed, your source for juicy news and info squeezed fresh right from the Grove. So that is where you can find me. There you
go. Perfect. And Dre, I love how you finesse things, like robust conversation. Like Twitter is known for just all out brawling, but it's just the way you finesse it is great. I love it.
We try to have a small sense of decorum on that platform. We try to keep it civil, but fights happen.
Yeah, exactly. It's great. It's great. And George, Mr. Family Man 23, how you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on, and I'm finally glad that I'm actually on with Mr. Kingdakha. I know we had some scheduling conflicts, but I'm glad that we actually were able to make it up for it. Yes,
absolutely. And George, Mr. Family Man, if you can let everybody home know where they can find you on social media.
Absolutely, you can find me on my YouTube channel, Disney Family Man 23. On Twitter at Disney George. And of course, you could always find me here on Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner.
Yes, sir. All right. So let's dive right in. So it was announced a few days ago that Disney parks, they're going to start bringing back traditional meet and greets. Now, because of the pandy, everything's been the characters are behind a fence. Or they're everything is real distance, right? Yeah. Well, starting this month, you're gonna be able to have that traditional experience. You'll be able to go up and hug Mickey Mouse and have that traditional experience. I'm gonna start with you, Kyle. What are your feelings on this, man? This is kind of, in my opinion, it's kind of surprising these are coming back. I really didn't know if they would or not, but where are you at with this news?
So I would like to say that I'm torn, but I'm not going to lie. I'm super excited because I am a character man through and through. I love, there's something about the personal interaction between you and a character that is just so much fun. And I'm not saying that the farther away interactions weren't as special. It's just something, just face-to-face interactions and just I don't know, just doing silly things with the character. It's just fun. I think that's just a part of Disney World land in general that I couldn't wait to bring back because, like I said, I'm big on those. But when it comes to the pandemic, we are still in a pandemic, and it's kind of was it a little too early to bring it back? I don't know, but I feel like they're just trying to get things back to normal. I don't know where this I don't know what they're gonna do in 10 months from now, or if there's another flare up, stuff like that. But I am excited to see it come back right now. I'm just a big character guy, so if I can get my hug from Mickey, that would be great. Obviously, I am very respectful of the face characters, the princesses, everything like that, you know. But other than that, if they're opening up their arms, I'm going in for a hug, and I can't wait for
Yes.
it.
No, and Kai, you bring up a great point, and there is a distinction. There is a difference when it comes to the pandy of like the face characters, like the princesses and what have you, and like the more costumed characters like Mickey, Donald, Goofy, things like that. Because like, look, you know, Mickey is in like this suit.
Exactly.
You know, it seems pretty protected. Where, you know, hey, look, if you're Ariel or you're Belle, you're a cast member. I mean, you're wide open like the rest of us.
Exactly, which is why I low-key, when I first was thinking about like the reopening of the parks and everything after the pandemic, I was always saying like when character meet and greets do come back like to normal, I figured that they would do kind of like a phased kind of like a phase bring back, sort of, where the mask characters would be the ones that would be able to you know, interact with the people and give hugs, stuff like that. And then later on, when this crazy world is finally subsided, then the face characters, but they brought back everybody tenfold and just and I'm happy for that. But it's also kind of like, is that the right move? I don't know. I guess it's up to the actors and actresses. I think whether they're comfortable with it, and if they sign off and if they're okay with it, then cool beans.
Yeah, no, exactly. And up to the guests, you know, if you as a guest feel comfortable walking up and getting close to the characters, that's on you. And if you don't, then you hold off on that until you are ready. Dre, what are your thoughts? Traditional meet and greets are returning this month. Surprised, not surprised, thoughts, feelings?
Not super surprised. Christine Waistlines McCarthy alluded to it in, I believe, the last quarterly earnings report, or at least the last public meeting with shareholders. Yeah. And when she said that, I was like, okay, well, they're trying to get that back on. They're trying to, you know, transition into that. The holdup was really, like you said, Kingdakha, the kind of the unions that represent these characters. There was a little back and forth with that, but it looks to be going in that direction. And I agree with you. I mean, if you're okay, you sign up for that, then I think that's something that we can transition to efficiently. And if there are problems, maybe they do go with a hybrid approach later on. This is a pretty important part of the Disney park experience, really. You know, a lot of other you know, attractions, whether they be, you know, Six Flags, you know, Cedar Point, all that. A lot of them have attractions, a lot of them have rides, but only Disney has its characters. Mm-hmm. And 100%. It's the only place where you can actually go up and hug Mickey and so forth. And that's really important for families, like really important. That's a big part of it. You would be surprised if you look at surveys of all the attractions and amenities at any of these parks, whether it be Walt Disney World or Disneyland Resort. Some of these character meet and greets actually rank higher than some of the top tier attractions. Like that's how high they rank, and in terms of levels of importance as well. So this was a big part of it. Again, what ad or commercial have we not seen in the last, I don't know, 20 years before the events of 2020, where we didn't see a kid being embraced by Mickey or a princess or so forth? So this is a big part of it. It's baked into the cake, and now we're getting it back, and I think it's a really, really good thing.
Yeah, no, 100%, Dre. And you're right. The importance of this stuff, that first time, like as a parent, that first time your child gets to meet Mickey, gets to meet Minnie, right? It's a big deal. And it hits differently at Disney. Like it's different. Like when your kid, that first time your kid is meeting Mickey or Minnie, it's going to hit differently than when you're at Universal and they're meeting a Minion.
Yeah, you're right.
Same energy, you know, it's just not the same, and that's part of that Disney. I don't want to be corny, but it is part of that Disney magic and that Disney difference, where it's like it is different. It is different. It's much more of a milestone, with that. It's just I don't know. It's a very, very uniquely important experience for Disney.
And in a sense, for me, I grew up on these characters, watching these movies, and it's kind of like to see them in basically their world, Disney World, Disneyland. It's so dope, and I think that it's a special bond and a connection. That's why I always say when I go to Disney, I'm a big kid. That's why I go up and I love to hug Mickey or Minnie or Donald, Daisy, whatever, because it's like, I don't know, I grew up watching them, so it's a little kid in me that's just like, oh, like, I don't know, warm embrace, come here, oh my gosh, like, let's take stupid, silly photos. And it was like, I feel like there was a disconnect when you had to stand in front of them, and it was just like there wasn't a personal connection also, or in order to make that magic, it was just kind of like selfie, miles away. I think at Disney World, they had Belle like so far where you can barely like talk to her, and I was like just saying, hey, have a great day, because that's all I could say. And I couldn't have like a funny weird conversation about, I don't know, where Beast was or something, but it was just like, you're so far, I'm just, hey, have a great day. So it does bring back those personal feeling connections with the characters, and like you said, it brings that magic back in a sense. So
Completely. Mr. Family Man. Hey, you're the family man. You have a young child here. Like what are your feelings on this? Because I know that you probably deal with it more, like with having a young child, it kind of comes into play maybe even more so than us, right? I mean, like,
oh, absolutely. I mean, there are times where Josh literally has to pull me back of my excitement for the characters. So
Josh had to pull you back.
He has to pull me back.
Wow.
I love it.
But no, I definitely get what you're saying, especially echoing what Kaw was saying, because when we had Josh down there when he was 4, he had that interaction with Anastasia and Drizella, the stepsisters from Cinderella.
So good.
So, I mean, they were like playing with him and like saying, oh, are you going to be my date to the ball? And he literally said back to Anastasia, I believe, he said, I don't want you, I want Cinderella. So it's like, so I mean, it was just a lot of like the bantering back and forth. So, and that's part of what I call like embedded in the Disney DNA. Like you need that as part of the experience. And I know a lot of people say, oh, I think it's so cool that you can see the characters in their environments, Winnie the Pooh in the grassy lands, or Joy, with and sadness standing from a distance. I'm like, don't feed me that crap. It's like, no, I want to meet the characters like one-on-one. I want to, yes. But I also do feel that Disney, has been very precautious with everything, from 2020. So I think with the decisions leading up to this, I think that they really are watching things closely and, how they're going to handle it. We may see some differences, like at first, they may not say it or, publicly announce it in a statement, but it may just be there when the day comes for the characters to have the meet and greets. And I also think that they're looking into the notion of, as Mr. Vash Sky had mentioned, that sometimes the meet and greets are more popular than the attractions. And what better way to showcase more on the Genie Plus than to say, oh, why don't you pay for a lightning lane to go meet Mickey for the first time after 2+ years? I mean, people will do it. Because
which is what they've actually been doing. They put that on Genie Plus. I think the princesses in Magic Kingdom.
Yeah, the princess meet and greet hall.
The meet and greet on the as a lightning lane. So I was like, that's you're absolutely right. What Vash was talking about, like they're so high up on the scale of kids and even adults wanting to meet them that they're like, yeah, we're gonna cash grab and put those, throw the meet and greets on there, even if they're what's the word? Even if they're still like in their quarantine state and they have the little cages, people are still going to line up.
And I wonder if that's really what they're going to end up going for, is if they were to not have a traditional standby line right away, if it's going to be more like of a queue or a lightning pass, because you're only going to be allowing so many people in at a time. to meet these characters, and that could be their way around of maybe kind of slowly integrating the standby line. And again, it's a cash flow opportunity for Disney, because more lightning lanes, more money spent to say. And I mean, I think we all can agree, after everything we've gone through these past few years, and especially right now internally with the company, I think we all can use a big hug from the big cheese himself right now.
I think so. With all the drama going on right now with Disney, man, and just everything with like you said, with the pandy for the last 2 years and all that stuff. Yeah, I could use a Mickey hug. Absolutely. Dre, what are your thoughts on this? Where are you at with all this?
Yeah, I do agree with George. I mean, that's an interesting approach, taking kind of a lightning lane only approach. I mean, if these kind of what is it, the between standby and lightning lane, at the levels we're seeing right now, at the ratios we're seeing, if those continue, it'll effectively be that. So there you go. But no, these are huge experiences, and yeah, they had added Fast Pass to some of the big meet and greet locations on an Elsa and Epcot, and like you said, Kingdakha, Magic Kingdom, and in that kind of royal. Whatever they call the Snow White replacement in that park, they placed it there, and Lightning Lane is a continuation of that, obviously. But no, these character experiences are huge. If you remember, it wasn't that long ago until we saw interactive character experiences with Mickey kind of talking head, where I think they wanted to go to a direction of more personable experiences and so forth with that. Right. We've seen viral videos, both in the good and bad direction, right? Where I don't know if people remember that Gaston incident where, somebody challenged him to what was it, like a muscle contest, and he was doing push-ups with one hand, stuff like that.
Yes,
that was a big deal. That was a viral moment there. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, that actor was let go, which is unfortunate. Oh. And yeah, it's sometimes those things happen. But even recently with I think a lot of people saw maybe the TikTok video of the kind of the Winnie the Pooh meet and greet in Critter Country, and the little girl.
Oh yes, yeah.
That was a kind of a visceral moment there, and some of that feedback, I'm sure, Disney took into account and said, "Okay,
definitely.
Let's try to fast track this."
It was heart wrenching to watch stuff like that. Not even though it was in other people's eyes, it's kind of pandemic, but it's that's a child's favorite character. You go, whoa, stop! You can't, you can't hug it. It just sucked to see,
It is. And so I think bringing this back, though, I think is really, really good. It's kind of funny because I guess there was some money set aside to kind of redo. We've seen creative barriers made. I believe I think the most recent one that kind of debuted was the Pixie Hollow, the Tinkerbell meet and greet in Disneyland right off the hub, right? And we saw, I can't remember what exactly they used to separate, but it was decorative paintbrushes or something that was kind of Tinkerbell related and kind of done all that. Well, anyway, I guess Magic Kingdom wanted to go full bore, start digging stuff out and start just doing channels and stuff. And it was whoa, wait a minute, whoa, this is a temporary thing. Let's hold back. This is going to go back. And it's kind of been funny to see kind of ops and Imagineering and all that kind of stuff kind of go back and forth. But I'm really, really glad this is coming back. It's a big part of this Disney experience.
Well, and also too, I'm sorry.
Well, no, I was just going to say it is. And we saw even years and years ago, I'm sure it's still on YouTube, but with a Jedi Training Academy at Disneyland, oh man, so many little kids who Darth Vader would tell them, "Hey, join me." And usually they're supposed to say, no, I'm going to fight you.
Yeah.
No. These kids would kneel down on one knee and be a Sith Lord, It was fantastic, and it was really, really funny. And those kind of videos kind of went viral, and they were just really cool moments. So I think a lot of that stuff kind of plays into this, where it's Disney wants those viral moments, those kind of cool interactions with characters, and you're not going to have that when you have the character on the grassy knoll behind the fence 50 feet away, So it's just different. So George, I'm sorry, go ahead, sir.
No, you're fine. And it also helps with, as we were talking before the recording, about merchandising, because autograph books people buy for those experiences. You have people that buy photo frames to put, their pictures in. I mean, that's why you go and buy a photo frame, so that way you can, be standing next to Mickey or Donald. You're not going to put a picture in a frame and you're like, oh, where's the character? Oh, it's that little black dot right at the top of the corner. But I also do have to say too, it was announced by Disney that this isn't just in the parks. This is also on the cruise line as well.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I believe Aulani is similarly.
Aulani too, yeah. They're like, you know what? If one person, because I think Disneyland Paris was the first to get it, and I feel like that also was kind of like a wake up call. Like people really, and I think it got a great what's the word? It got a good response from it. So they're like, yeah, let's just bring it back, like everywhere basically. And I'm glad that they're doing it. Obviously, they're not doing it in Tokyo. I think I'm actually not sure, but they're just mainly focusing on the U.S. parks, and I think that's great. But it's so I just can't wait for it to come back. I'm so excited.
It's part of that, like that quintessential Disney experience. Meeting the characters, interacting with them, and it's part of that. Especially when you have young children, and it's just, man, it just hits different. It just hits different. It really does make the experience. And it's funny because Disney, like a lot of people ask me, like what, like at work and stuff, right? They'll be like, why do you go to Disney so much? And I'm like, I actually don't even know. And I think a lot of it has to do with like these little experiences, like a bunch of these little experiences make the overall experience, right? And like you can't really pinpoint what it is that makes it special. It's just a lot of these little things that sort of like add up.
Yeah.
And I think the character thing is definitely one of those little things that like is just a piece of that puzzle that adds up and makes the overall experience fun.
Well, a lot of people and what they're paying for over at the Galactic Star Cruiser, which is why I was a little bit critical of Disney not bringing the characters back sooner, because the Star Cruiser was offering all kinds of experiences with these characters, right? You could hug them, you could do all kinds of stuff, but for the plebs who are spending $150 per person per day in a park, well, you don't get characters. So I was a little bit like, hey, wait a minute, you got to change this. This is not right. This is not good. And George, if you could provide this date for me, when does the Wish set sail?
The Wish was supposed to set sail on June 9th, but they pushed it back to July 15th, I believe.
So it looks like they want to get kind of operationally all on the same page, at least before then. So I would think, if we're looking forward towards anything else, which a lot of people have said maybe character meet and greets is kind of the last thing to come back to bring back normality to the theme parks. Expect some announcements on that front going forward. I think there's still a little bit ways to go, but this is a huge step.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And can we finally get this guy at Disney parks? Like, come on, man.
Oh my God, I freak out.
It's like money on the table, Disney. Come on, JPEG.
Heck yeah. Oh my God.
How they haven't done that yet.
You guys know the about that whole what is it? The Groot, the animatronic Groot that they're building.
Yes.
I don't know if you got so I'm thinking about that in terms of you can make a baby Yoda. If you can make a baby Groot, make a Grogu, sorry. I have to use the correct term. Make a Grogu just like that, and people would go crazy. Even if he's just sitting in his in that orb thing, like, and he just moves and he reacts to like sound, and you could like, come on, they're missing something, and that's like, if I was in Disney, that'd be like the first thing that I know, and that he's so popular, that'd be a cash grab right then and there. Come on.
Oh yeah, you're talking lightning lane. You know how much money they would make on a Grogu lightning lane.
If they can make a profit of a Figment popcorn bucket, I guarantee you they could make a profit with a lightning lane with Mando and Grogu.
That's money on the table. Now I would prefer him to be in a little satchel, right? On the shoulder of Mandalorian walking through. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's where I would prefer him. But yes, a Grogu meet and greet. Come on, Disney, money on the table. You could have a shop right after, and people would buy. People would eat it up. Come on,
I'd buy it. Come on.
Oh yeah, man. It's
photo pass sales, lightning lane sales, shop retail sales. They would all go up. Come on, Disney.
Come on, JPEG. You're all about those yields. Make a little money here,
Exactly. I was also wondering about Now it might be going a little not off topic, but like I was wondering, you know how they have in the hub when you walk into DCA, they have the characters around and they're meeting, saying hi and stuff like that. I wonder if they're gonna bring back some of the rare characters or probably not. I think they only did it because of quarantine. It's like, okay, well, they can't have traditional meet and greets, so we're gonna throw out some randoms that we don't usually see, and it's kind of like that's great. Like say for instance, are we gonna have a regular meet and greet with Oswald or Snow White and Dopey? I know they usually have Dopey only out for like the hard ticket party stuff like that. So I'm wondering if they're gonna have those rare characters come out normally, like, or just to meet them, like normal meet and greets. But I'm low key thinking that they're not gonna do that anymore.
Ka, to be honest, I hope they do. I love when they do stuff like that. I really do. And they have a lot of opportunities. Look, hey, the Rescue Rangers movie is going to be coming on to Disney Plus. I don't exactly remember when, but that whole live action hybrid thing is coming out. Hey, bring Chip and Dale in their Rescue Rangers outfits
exactly
to Disneyland or DCA or something like that. That's an opportunity right there. And it's like cross marketing, and I know Disney loves that. You can definitely. I don't know. I think there's opportunity. I hope.
Well,
they
we
do.
we saw Moon Knight. Right on the day of the debut
True.
of the show, which is great, which is awesome. I think kind of Disney's reacting to that maybe a little bit and saying, "Ooh, this does have some appeal if we bring out these characters same day. We can, do promotion for the show, but also we can do, we can provide a character that everybody wants to see, something different, just like Kingdakha said. One of Us Street's actually been pretty good at this, over the last few years. To bring out kind of the smaller characters that don't really get a lot of play.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting. So Clarabelle Cow is one of them.
Yeah.
And I just learned about this story the other day. Apparently, so in Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, apparently there's a scene with Daisy.
Okay.
At the end there, is that right, George?
Disney,
not Animatronics.
At the very end.
Towards the end.
I know there's a sequence with Daisy in the ride where she's in the dance studio.
Yeah.
And you have the vehicles doing the conga sort of thing.
Yes.
I love it.
Apparently,
So cool.
that was going to be Clarabelle Cow.
Oh.
What?
Yeah, and like late in the game, I guess Bob Iger was like, "No, do not like Clarabelle at all. Has to be another character. Has to be something else." Now, is he lactose intolerant? Is that why? It was a hilarious story. I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, that's why." Her scale's not 100% and everything like that. It's like because she was, it was going to be Clarabelle Cow. The funniest thing.
That is funny. That is.
Who
funny.
knows? You guys are,
No.
but actually, it's funny that you mentioned that, Dre, because isn't there speculation that there's going to be some differences to the Disneyland version as the Walt Disney World?
So to bring the conversation back to Disneyland for just a moment,
Right.
it sounds like, just to clarify what Kingdakha was asking for, it sounds like those kind of hybrid like approaches to character meet and greets where you have kind of characters off of the side that kind of roam around the park, and then you have characters that you can kind of meet and greet. Looks like they're going to maintain that aspect of it. We might see some integration in Toontown. When it comes to Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, from what I understand, there are going to be additional scenes, and maybe that includes animatronic figures. Or maybe it doesn't. I don't know. Looking at the Guardians of the Galaxy situation at Cosmic Rewind doesn't seem like it, but we'll see.
I was just going to say that like literally, I know we're going way off topic, but that literally tore me apart when they said it's just going to be all screens and, oh man. Because I'm sorry, the Rocket animatronic at Mission Breakout is one of my favorite audio animatronics. It's one of the smallest, but it's actually one of my favorite of how they have him animated through that scene.
Yeah. And Ka, hey, I think we can both agree on this. I actually rode Mission Breakout with these two guys back in September, and I'm okay. I'm like, oh man, like I'm generally okay with drops, but that is a whole nother level. Have you been on Mission Breakout, Ka? I know you don't like drops.
Oh, I haven't, and I'm dying to go on it. I walked past it when I was so when I first went to Disneyland in December. I went by myself to DCA, and I was like, I want to do this ride, but I'm not doing it alone because when I get dropped, I usually have to hold on to somebody. Like that's like my mechanism. I had nobody. I'm not gonna hold on to a stranger and like imprint them with my hand. So I was like, I can't see, but I have seen videos of the animatronics, so I do know what you're talking about. Since I'm not completely left out of the loop. So I mean, I do hope to see it soon. Like I said, once I go with friends, it'll be better.
Well,
but
I do have to say what OG was mentioning when we went on it for the first, because I do know how he is claustrophobic, and lo and behold, he was sitting next to me for this, and we were all the way at the far left, and I said, well, if you need a hand to squeeze, you have my left one. So it's
Dude, I'm telling you, I think we joked about it in a video like a few months ago, but like we were getting pretty close, George. I was like, this is crazy, man. Like the thing with Tower of Terror is it's like a build up, right? Like it slowly builds you up. Like, okay, so you go through the scene long time ago.
Mission Breakout.
Yeah, Mission Breakout is just like 0 to 60 in like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
You get in the vehicle and you're like shot to the top and you're dropping. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. So yeah, Ka, I mean, if you have an issue with drops, my Black Pearl rule.
I will. Trust me, I'm doing that. I have that etched in my head. I'm gonna do that.
So he's gonna have 2 for the Incredicoaster, 2 for Mission Breakout.
Literally,
he's gonna be staggering out of that exit.
To give our viewers some context here, OG, we were talking about roller coasters before the show, and OG55 had a recommendation for Kingdakha who hadn't yet ridden on Incredicoaster, telling him, saying, go to Lamplight Lounge, order a couple of Black Pearls, and then go on these attractions. So I think that's what we should do. We should go on Mission Breakout after taking up Orange Grove's recommendation, and then go on Incredicoaster, because apparently Kingdakha hasn't seen any of them.
And here's the thing, though, I'm willing to do that, and I'm a thrill coaster junkie, so I'll just go for the drinks.
Yeah. I'm the same way, George. Same way. Just go for the drinks.
Gonna be fun. It'll be fun, and I honestly can't wait to see. Like, kind of going back, I can't wait to see that animatronic. But yeah, going back to what George was saying, I think, and this is completely going off topic. The best animatronic, I'm sorry, is what do you call it? It's an Animal Kingdom for the Navi River.
The Navi River journey.
Yes,
that I do agree with
Shaman.
you. If you actually see the shaman in person, the YouTube videos don't even do it justice.
Crazy. Oh my gosh. I love that so much. Like, I think that is worth the whatever 60-minute wait time there.
Well, and I think that's probably why it is as long as it is, because I know for a fact people just don't do it just for a simple boat ride. They go to see that shaman, because if there's ever a time where the shaman is down and they have the LED screen up, people are livid.
One of the most complex animatronic figures, and probably the most advanced, definitely in terms of face. I mean, there are so many. I think there was it's over 20 actuators on that face alone. I mean,
yeah, literally when a boat goes, I literally just keep watching because I'm in awe. Like, it's so crazy what Disney can do. So it's just like,
well, and I got to see that audio animatronic firsthand when it was just the head at the D23 Expo, and they actually had where the skin was peeled off, and you got to see all those actuators and everything that goes into that skull, and it's so cool. Amazing.
Wild.
I'm sorry, OG. Let's throw it back to what we came to talk about. I'm so sorry.
No worries. Hey,
welcome to the show, because this is what happens on a regular basis.
We trail off.
No, absolutely. Like, I welcome, like, wherever the conversation goes, we go with it, you know, and it leads to a lot of great stuff. So yeah, by all means, if you have something on your mind that's not necessarily like the topics, I'm all for it. We definitely like to digress and get into other stuff, because like that, like, I haven't been on the Navi River ride, but I've seen it on YouTube. But like, even from YouTube, I'm watching it and I'm like getting goosebumps. I'm watching this. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. I hope to eventually make it out to Florida. I want to check out Epcot. I want to check out Animal Kingdom. I like, those are my go-to parks. You know, I really want to check out those.
And you guys will, because once I move down there in a few years, I'm going to be hounding you to come down. So
hey, you know what? The 4 of us will be down there, man. We'll be riding that Navi River ride together. I'm so down for that. I am so down for that.
Cannot wait. So I was trying to find how many actuators were in that face. It's a lot. It's a lot. Trust me. But one little tidbit about Cosmic Rewind.
Sure.
Well, since we're on the topic of
Yeah.
audio animatronics, apparently the word on the street is that there were going to be 10 originally. And they all got cut.
As what I've heard, and I could be wrong, I heard it was 12.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
I could be wrong. I thought it was 12, but yeah, with the budget cuts and everything, and especially because it was supposed to tie into Volume 3, and they didn't even know if Volume 3 was even going to happen. The issues that they had with James Gunn and script issues and with the actors, and it was like, and then the Pandy, and it was like, are we ever going to get this this ride up and running? So I guess that they're just happy that it's even. That it even got the green light.
Yeah.
Well,
so I mean, I'm honestly even surprised to hear that there were going to even be 10, 12 animatronics. You said, I'd be surprised to even see 2 at this point because they are putting it up really quickly, and it's kind of like I don't know how great the animatronic is going to look unless they've been planning this for years and we just don't know about it, or we've just been don't know about it, but like pre announcement they've been planning this, so I'd be surprised to see 2.
Now, is that what the Baby Groot animatronic was for, or was that just a tester?
Honestly, they didn't even say. They still don't really even. They haven't really said. Well, it's supposed to be for meet and greets apparently.
Yeah,
that's just
wow.
Yeah,
I think that was a test
to be
for
walking around and stuff. And
right. Yeah. That was a test for kind of a meet and greet scenario.
And if they do have it, I mean, Disney's all about making multiples, so I mean, if they can make it for a meet and greet, that'd be kind of cool to maybe incorporate it somewhere, even if it's in the queue, because I mean, that queue looks really awesome.
It does. I love the picture that they were in the videos, everything. I was like, wow, that's going to be so amazing just to see it in person. It's going to be really, really cool. So that's why I'm kind of hoping that the lightning lane is different than the actual queue, because I want to see that and I want to walk through and just be marveled by it, because I know like everybody's going to try to get lightning lane for it, because I'm not trying to wait on those long lines when it first.
Well, maybe that is the lightning lane. So you pay for it, you get the quintessential look of it, and where if you just go into standby line, we'll take you through the back door in the back. It's like, we'll take you through the janitor's way, and it's like you just watch yourself with all the mops and brooms.
well, and you know what, Kai, you bring up an interesting point. Like even if like there's 2 animatronics, yeah, I mean that would actually be okay. Like for me too, like because if you think about it, like when it comes to like really high speed roller coasters, like even Disney doesn't really like usually add a whole lot of animatronics in those kind of attractions. You look at Space Mountain, you look at Rock and Roller Coaster. Exactly. A lot of these high speed things don't have animatronics at all. So to even have 1, 2, or 3 animatronics in Cosmic Rewind,
yeah.
I mean,
they only have Rocket at Mission Breakout, and that's plenty enough for me. It really just sets the stage, to really get you hyped up for the ride.
Right, and it's kind of impressive that they were able to get Rocket in there. I mean, that was a 5-month redo. Think about that.
I know.
The attraction came down, traction came out 5 months. Unbelievable turnaround.
I didn't know it. That's really quick.
Yes,
and I have to give it to Joe Rohde. I mean, his team. Like really can bang it out, especially when Pandora and Mission Breakout opening the same day, and he had to go for both releases. I mean, that's unheard of.
I just want to see video footage of Rohde riding Mission Breakout with the earrings and like, hilarious. Okay, so let's move on to our next topic. Our next topic, which is Maynard, Disneyland legend, is retiring. Actually, I think as of the recording of this video, he's actually retired already.
Yep.
And I'm going to share a video because I don't think everyone is familiar with Maynard. Maynard's been with the company. Dre, it's been 25 years, if I'm mistaken.
Yeah, 25, I think. 25. Yeah, it's been a while. He's been a mainstay at that park for quite some time. Yes, and I have thoughts on Maynard, and look, we'll get into it after the video. But Dre, if you can play the video, just play a little bit of it, kind of give the audience at home a little taste of what Maynard's thing is, because a lot of people are not familiar with him. So I want to kind of give the audience a little taste of what he does. Sure.
We'll put a little bit of it, and then on the other side, we'll kind of all break it down and we'll go from there. So,
Okay.
go ahead, sir.
Let's see.
This for I don't know how long. Yeah.
And this is courtesy.
He'll still pick up the trash. Yeah, of course. I think it's fantastic. Hello, Maynard.
Oh, yeah.
How are you?
Just wandering through this place of happiness with my pinching device.
Is that your invention?
Could have been, I suppose. Although mine might have been more sleek, more treacherous. And these are like, no zapping feeling. I just.
No zap?
No. It feels like it gets gonna. Oh, oh, it's good for blowing your nose. Yeah. That'll make him think twice about selling it for such a low extent. Maybe it should be so much higher. Just imagine all the people across the country who have a sneezing attitude and
Sneezing attitude.
Yeah, the sneezing attitude. Invisible babies, how do you like my new tool? I didn't make it, no, but do you want to sneeze, Mr. Charlie? Okay. I love it, okay?
Okay.
Find more sneezing people.
All right.
Okay.
All right. I got you. I think everybody understands.
Yeah, that's what he does. This
Yes.
is what Maynard does. He's been doing this for 20 plus years. That's what he does. And I kind of wanted to talk to you guys about, like, because he is retiring, right? He's been with the company for a long time. And I wanted to kind of go through it and kind of say, like, is there a place for this kind of shtick at Disneyland? As a cast member, does it benefit the park? Is it something that should be happening? Like, because, look, Maynard he did his thing, but he's gone now. Should other cast members sort of adopt this same sort of thing? I'm going to start with you, Dre, with this. What are your thoughts on Maynard? I have a lot of thoughts on Maynard, and I think I have very unpopular opinions on this. But where you stand on it?
So there's the objective and there's the subjective, right?
Okay.
Subjectively, I'll just put it out there. He was a good friend, really good friend. Knew him for a lot of years, and knew him personally. He was a great cast member. I think just kind of overall. But you're right. Objectively, I think he did rub some other cast members the wrong way in some ways. With his shtick, and it's not for everybody, right? But because Disneyland is such a kind of an annual pass holder, kind of a heavy demographic that attends that park. Some people kind of look for something a little bit new, something a little bit different, and are receptive to those things. When it comes to, like, maybe the Enchanted Tiki Room, where everybody's kind of seen the show, to have his pre-show there, which was famous and legendary at a certain point, was kind of a refreshing experience. But otherwise, that isn't quite necessarily for everybody. Some people want to experience these parks the way that they were designed to be experienced. And this kind of goes back to, like, this kind of argument of when you have breakout cast members, when you have standout cast members, are they a benefit or a detriment to others when others around them aren't necessarily of that same kind of extrovert on that level, so to speak, right? We brought up the experience with Gaston and how he was removed. He was removed because a lot of people, seeing that video, wanted to engage in that same behavior with the other Gastons that would, be in that role, so to speak. And he's just like, "Oh, what are you talking about?" It causes problems, right? When you have the good Gaston versus, kind of the average Gastons, and in this way, you see that with maybe Maynard. It's one of those things, and sometimes a rising tide doesn't lift all boats necessarily. Like I remember Paul Pressler, a good example of this was with Space Mountain. Before it was overhauled in 2005, they had added music to those rockets before they changed them out completely. And sometimes music would work, and sometimes music wouldn't until that 2005 renovation. Well, it was just decided, well, let's just not have music at all if we can't have it work at a consistent basis, if we can't keep those show standards high. So it's a tug and pull. I get it. he wasn't for everybody, but for me personally, he was a good friend.
Yeah, no, and I respect that. And here's my thing. Here's my thing with Maynard. I think okay, I have actually some really good stuff to say about what he does, and then I have some not so good stuff. But it has nothing to do with him as a person, so I just want to make that very clear. In terms of the shtick, I wasn't a big fan of it because even Walt Disney would say, Disneyland is the show and everything else is really the supporting cast. I don't need a stand-up comedy act at the Tiki Room. The Tiki Room is good enough. You know what I'm saying? I'm there for the Tiki Room. I'm not there for hey, stand up with Maynard. And as an annual pass person or someone who goes all the time, maybe that's okay for me because I've seen the regular show so many times, but you also have to remember there's a lot of people that come in from Japan or England or Australia that haven't seen the show at all, and they're getting a stand-up comedy act that's really distract. The thing is, I feel like his shtick was more of a distraction than plussing.
Mm-hmm. Like an addition.
It wasn't like he was adding to the show. He was becoming the show, and that's my biggest problem with it. And it just kind of I just feel like as much as I appreciate the guy's passion and his energy, and he brought it every single time, and I do appreciate that, I just feel like it just didn't work for the park because he became the show. Go ahead, George. I know you want to.
Oh, no, yeah, not a problem. I'm going to actually add on to that because I'm so used to doing Walt Disney World as opposed to Disneyland. Now, with Walt Disney World, there are a lot of cast members who have that sort of shtick, but because of the environment that you're in, for instance, if you go to 50's Primetime Cafe,
right? I was just gonna
say. The dining. You get the annoying cousin, you get the strict mother, you get the overbearing father. So it's kind of but you're already walking into that knowing, but a lot of people don't. Right. And they had some issues with that too. If you go over to Whispering Canyon, there's
straws.
Yep. So it's there's certain things that I'm used to with Walt Disney World that is not necessarily embedded in the culture of Disneyland. Now, when it comes to those kind of cast members, I personally don't have an issue that has that over, because sometimes it could just bring a smile to a person that may be having a bad, how can you really even have a bad day at Disneyland? But you know what? People do, and it's so sometimes you could use that little bit of extra. But I have to say to Kaw, see what happens when you walk out of Lamplight Lounge? That's what you get.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yes, folks, we only have high-class stuff on this show.
Absolutely. Kaw, what do you think? I know you are not too familiar with Maynard. I think you watched some of the footage and everything. Where do you stand on when cast members sort of go rogue, so to speak, and kind of do their own thing like that? Are you okay with that? Does that kind of add to the magic, or is it kind of like a distraction?
And I'm so very sorry. I'm sorry, Kaw, not to interrupt you. One more thing I forgot to add is to your question, OG, do they find cast members? I think it has to come organically. I don't think it's really the best thing to find someone over the top, because that's where it would put a set stage bitterness to it. So I think that if they already have that personality, that's fine, but I can go either way if there's our cast members out there or not.
Okay.
So I just wanted to
Absolutely. And Kyle, where you stand on that?
I low-key agree with everybody here. It works. It works in certain ways, in certain situations, certain areas. Let's say a cast member like that just came up to us while we're waiting in line, and he's just going off like that. It's entertaining at the time because I'm waiting, and it's just what else do I have to do? I don't want to be on my phone, so sure, I'll interact with the cast member. But also, you're right, where it does take away a bit of that. No, I wouldn't say it takes away Disney magic. I just say it kind of I'm here for this in particular. But if you want to add that on, sure. Some people may not want to sit there and listen to this guy speak, and some people are interested in it. I guess it literally goes based off of who you are. You're not obligated to stand there and listen. You can be like, oh, thank you, have a great day, and just walk off. Or if you want to stand there and listen to this guy speak and do his spiel, that's great. But at the end of the day, I don't think that everybody should expect that from every cast member, because every cast member is that one cast member, you know what I mean? And I guess that does set a tone, I guess, for new people that come here all the time, like, oh, this is how it's supposed to be. Well, I got this one experience from this cast member. The other guys was so, like, I guess, bland or didn't really say much or whatever. So I guess it's a 50-50 thing. Personally, for me, it literally depends on the day. If I'm just, every day is a good day at Disney. If you're, then there's genuinely speaking, every day is a good day when you're at Disney.
Yeah. Yes.
But there'll be times where I'm just like tired, I'm out of it, and sometimes I don't want to entertain, give my attention to somebody that's, eccentric like that, or trying to put on shows. Or there's times where I will suck it up and listen, and sometimes things will be funny, or I'll fake laugh even if it's not funny, just because I know that this person is enjoying what he's doing, that I'll pay attention to it or stuff like that. But I actually had an instance in what was it, Toontown, when I last went in February. Well, this February, one of the cast members, he was just talking to me about it wasn't like, he was like very like uppity and just like energetic, and I liked his vibe, and it wasn't more of like he wasn't putting on a persona. It was just like, I guess, him being him, and he was just telling me like Disney facts and random things like that, but he was saying it in a way that was like so energetic, and I was so enthralled, and I listened because I was interested in stuff like that. Now, if I wasn't, I could have been like, I could have heard what he said, thank you, and then left. But I was interested, and I was interacting with him. So I guess, like I said, you have people that want to listen, some people don't. It's completely up to you, but I don't think that's expected of, and it shouldn't be expected of every cast member. Only thing that should be expected is common courtesy, niceness, and that's about it. Whatever else Disney puts on your rule book when you sign the contract to work at Disney. You know what I mean? That's about it, really.
Now, there's also another cast member, and I can't recall his name. It actually at Walt Disney World at Hollywood Studios. He's always stationed at Tower of Terror. And he gets like really into his role of being like this creepy bellhop sort of, and I can't recall his name. Anyone who knows, please comment down below. The name is missing in my head for some reason, but like he's been there like for how long, and people can recognize his face, and it's honestly not like an expectation, but they kind of know of saying, okay, this guy is really going to deliver. And I think it's almost like it has to be specific cast members that kind of have like those, I don't want to say have those rights, but it's like Disney kind of knows their personality of what they bring to the table. So it's like they kind of like let them do their thing. And now, as far as Vash's point, because it is an actual character with Gaston, people expect a certain expectation from a character. So if one, and it's supposed to be the same character. So if you have one actor doing one thing over the other, that's where it becomes a buddy.
I was gonna talk about that also with you know how, I don't know if you guys know about the she went viral, the Evil Queen at Disneyland.
Yeah.
There's this one specific Evil Queen at Disneyland, and she's just, I think she was even on like Yahoo News. Like she was, because she was so good at her role and just being like respectfully disrespectful and just mean, and it was like that. It's expected of her. So now when I see
that's
I
no,
expect that from every other
right,
evil
that's
queen to have that same energy. So
yeah, but that's no issue. That's my wife without her cup of coffee in the morning.
Oh man,
I already used it.
You're gonna be in the doghouse.
Wait. Here we go. Here.
It's a trap.
There you go. That's the one.
Listen,
Listen,
you know what's interesting though, and
go
like
ahead.
what Cobb mentioned with the Evil Queen, and like what George, what you're mentioning with the Tower of Terror Bellhop. Those situations though, they're in character though. Like okay, so it's like the Bellhop is
for the ride,
the Tower of Terror, right?
Right. It's for the situation. And I feel like Maynard is Maynard no matter where you put him, and that's really the issue that I have. Whether he's on Main Street or whether he's in Tiki Room or whether he's in the Haunted Mansion, that shtick that you saw just now is the same shtick you kind of get no matter where he's at, and it's kind of like more just a Maynard thing than it is about kind of adapting.
I get it. And
I was just going to mention that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Kingdakha. What were you going to say?
Mine is short. I think it's just also the timing of it all. Like sometimes you don't want to stand there and listen to it. It depends on how long he goes with his shtick. Like if it was like a short little 2-minute thing, sure, I'm in and out. I'll listen. Why not? But nobody wants to stand there and listen to it. Like there's so much to do in Disneyland that I don't want to, like, no offense, and it's definitely not any offense to him whatsoever, because I know he's just trying to do his job and bring light and magic to Disneyland, but it's like there's so much that I need to do that I don't really want to stand here. This wasn't on my lightning lane.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well,
Dre,
couple things. One is, my mother actually got into that, got into it with that Evil Queen. That was a very, very interesting reaction. That was some great stuff.
Did you get that on camera, Dre? Did you get that on
camera? I did not. I should have, but it was so good. Great interactions from characters, and I think we were talking about characters before. I think they're going to maintain a little bit of that. We'll see how that goes. But when it comes to Maynard, yes, I do agree. Like if you're just walking by and he goes into that, and it's, like you said, a little bit over 2 minutes. So that's a little dicey. I think his pre-show, anybody could look it up, folks. But his pre-show before Tiki Room, I thought was his kind of best shtick per se. Like it kind of set the attraction up in kind of a nice way. I understand it goes against maybe Orange Grove's philosophy when it comes to the Tiki Room being the Tiki Room, but I thought it was pretty good. Again, you do have some issues with maybe international visitors and people who aren't familiar with the attractions and maybe expect that every single time. That can be an issue. That's why I said, like, Walt Disney World, maybe it doesn't work in that instance, but Disneyland, maybe it does because people go there so frequently. But I was just going to say, you mentioned how he had the same modality everywhere he went. And that was largely true, but even he had his limits. There were times when he would work Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. And he understood that it's kind of a more dignified setting, and maybe I don't do this. I had conversations with him about that very issue. He was like, this is a place, that we should be honoring and respecting the president and this show kind of thing. And so he would kind of know his boundaries. But yeah, I mean, it's, his shtick is not for everybody. So yeah. I can feel that.
And that's where I could see both ends of the spectrum, because, I mean, there's just something that you guys don't know, that I have a big personality, go figure, that, if me being as a cast member, that would probably be sort of kind of my shtick if I wasn't in a character role, because that's just my personality. I would literally find something to bring in comedic terms, as you got to see a little taste of it, Ka, even just with this recording. It's so I could definitely see both ends of the spectrum of how, and as you mentioned, Ka, like if you're in the mood for it, if you're trying to stall some time, or just to be a little bit entertained. But if you're like not in that mood, you're in like 105-degree heat, your ice cream's melting, your kids are giving you a bitch storm about everything, and it's like no, get away from me.
No, 100%. And I just want to say this: as much as like Maynard's shtick isn't for me, I do respect him in the sense that this guy for 20 plus years, he brought it. Like this was not a 9 to 5, just I'm going to clock in and kind of phone it in kind of situation for him. Whether the shtick was for me or not, every time he came, every time he was there at the parks, he brought full energy, full passion to that situation. And I respect that, because we got to be completely honest. Not every cast member does that. What I'm saying? So I respect the fact that even though his shtick wasn't for me, I respect the fact that he brought his all every single time. And hey, that's honest. That's awesome. I do like that a lot. I love that.
It seems like he loved the dog.
Do you remember the one cast member, Vash? I think it was when we went on with Monsters After Dark. You, me, and your mom with the female cast member, and she was not in character whatsoever. It was like as if she was just reading the lines, and it was like, and after she was like, and I think your mom made a comment like of something of the notion like, wow, she's really loving her job right now.
What role was that, George?
It was when we were exiting. It was the enter and the exit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I do remember that. You know, hey, look, at the end of the night when you're tired, when you've been on your feet all day, I can see how you can get that. But you're still on stage.
I had
enthusiasm sometimes just plummets sometimes.
It does.
You're human. That's normal. I get it. But
I thought it was kind of funny when your mom mentioned that comment. I was like, wow, you can see she really loves her role.
Yeah, it happens. Hey, dude, like I have a 9-to-5 job that I do, and I do deal with a lot of clients and customers and stuff. And there's days I'm tired and like I'm not, as maybe as cordial or polite or whatever you want to call it as I could be. Like Ka was saying, we're all human. There's always gonna be those moments where like you're having a bad day, you're not in the mood.
I usually, with a lot of my customers, usually if they get on my nerves, I just bark at them.
There you go. There you go.
I wish I could do that. I wish I could. See, my thing is, it's funny because I'll walk into work and I'm just aggravated, or I'll have like this weird attitude. And then I'll get upset when customers ask me questions like this isn't my job. But it's like, at the end of the day, I'm not a mean person. So I'd have to change my attitude real quick. So you'll never really see me with a complete attitude. It's just when you first walk up to me and I'm not having it, that's just when you'll get it. But other than that, it'll completely turn around because I feel bad. I'm like, no, this isn't me. Hey, how are you? How you doing? All right, cool. Like,
yeah, we're all human. We all have our days, and cast members included, and they have their days. And Maynard was one of the few that, like I said, as much as I don't like his stick, he brought it every single time. I don't know how he did it. I don't know how he did it because oh man, I'm sure there's days where
that's commitment.
It is commitment. I got to give him to him for that. So and I do want to wish him a happy retirement. He was with the company for a long, long time. He's definitely earned his time off, and I wish him the best. I really do.
Exactly. Best of
Absolutely,
luck.
100%.
Chill out. Have fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, he's going to focus on his art. He's an artist. He's going to focus on his paintings and portraits, which he was talking about the last time I saw him. So that's pretty good. He was pretty excited about it.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we got one more topic, and this is in regards to Ken Potrock, Disneyland Resort president. And this really shocked me, you guys. This really, really shocked me. He said that Disneyland is halfway through its reopening.
I thought that was an April Fool's. I really did.
I really don't know how this is even the case because I feel like they're way beyond halfway. But Dre, I'll start with you. Like, what are your thoughts on this in regards to like his comments, like what your expectations was personally in regards to where they're at? Like, what are you feeling?
Yeah, I mean, this. I was surprised, but not shocked.
Okay.
Just going by what I've been hearing internally, just kind of looking at the numbers. We're talking about, I always tell people, it's like it took 65 years for Disneyland to accrue as many cast members as it did before the events of 2020, right? And I think the number that they were operating on before the events of 2020 were 36,000, 38,000, and they're about at 30,000. And the article that we're pulling this information from, the OC Register, goes into it pretty in depth. How they had to lay off like 28,000 cast members, got casting down to about 2,000. And then rehired and hired back that extent. 10,000 of which are brand new, have never worked for a Disney at all. So this was a big thing here, and people think like, how is it that they're only halfway there? But I mean, these parks and resorts, they're like cities. They were 24-hour operations, and they had been set up that way over an elongated amount of time. And they've kind of worked into those roles. So you think of the craftsmen, the artisans, the woodworkers, the metallurgists, the engineers, the horticulturalists, the costume department, every single part of that production to get it up and running. Think about the technicians who worked on some of these nighttime spectaculars or even the parades like Magic Happens and Phantasmic. Those things, although all those things are still not back yet. So think about how much back of house that would have mandated. Think about promotions. Think about performing arts, which still isn't back. These were huge. These were huge operations. A lot of facilities were impacted, obviously, and some of those roles that those kind of high skilled trades, those were slow to come back. We remember when the parks just opened, how like Disneyland Railroad only like operated for like a couple of hours. It closed like 2:30 at one point, and that's because they couldn't get engineers. They couldn't get people behind those steam trains to actually perform those roles, because it's a specialty role kind of thing. So I can totally see where this is coming from, and I think this is what Ken Potrock's speaking to. We're even seeing now troubles with dining, and I can elaborate a little bit more into that, but I want to give you fellas an opportunity to speak, obviously. But we're still not back yet, and halfway there, yeah, I can see it.
Well, yeah, and like as a customer, like as a guest, like I'm seeing it from like a guest perspective. So I'm thinking like, well, really the only things that I'm not seeing up are like Phantasmic, World of Color. Like it doesn't seem like that much. But like when you mention it, Dre, I think a lot of this halfway stuff is coming from like that internal, like getting the cast member numbers up and staffing and things like that. That's where this 50%, most of it is probably coming from.
What the guest sees on stage is only a fraction of the design operation. It's really a small percentage when you consider the huge extent that goes into it. It's only so small. So yeah, it's kind of hard for people to kind of wrap their heads around that, but it is. Sorry, go ahead, guys.
Because they don't think about that stuff. So like prime example for me, like when I heard, sorry if I cut anybody off, by the way. No. When I heard that statement, in my mind, I'm like, to me, Disneyland is, like you said, OG, it's already up and running. Like 50% was like, that's weird. But in the way of thinking, I'm like, no, that's Disney World. Disney World has I feel like they have a longer way to go. Like, I feel like they're at half 50%, capacity. And I'm just like, Disneyland, no, you guys are up there. But, Dre, you make really solid points that I wasn't thinking about at all. I thought maybe like there's a couple of shows that haven't come back or parades that didn't fill, the extra dancers or characters or whatever the case may be. But there's a lot more behind it that we aren't thinking about as customers, because that's not what we see. And that's not what I see. If anything, I see the surface level. You don't think about the behind the scenes stuff. So I don't really have much to say about that, but that's basically. I'm glad you start off with Drake, because he kind of.
Mr. Family Man, what are your thoughts, man? Like 50%. I mean, did it shock you, or are you kind of like where Dre's at? We're like, no, not.
Well,
really.
I have to say, at first, as I said, I thought it was April Fool's because they announced it on like April 1st. So automatically, sometimes a lot of the Disney news in the community, I kind of ignore to the fact. But then after the fact, I started reading more and more into it. After April 1st, I was like, okay, they're really not kidding. So I just had to take a moment to think, well, 50%, while Disney World alone, they're finally just getting the last hotel up and running, which is All Star Sports. Once that completely opens, all the hotels on that property are open. And I'm thinking, I'm looking at Disneyland. Well, yeah, again, you have Phantasmic, you have the night parades, you have the Hyperion Theater. But as you all had, I'm echoing all of you that, yeah, you're just looking at, okay, Phantasmic, Parade, Hyperion Theater, but of how many cast members it takes to run said shows and parades, and not even just the people, as you said, up in the forefront, but also in the backstage, getting everything prepped, everything maintenance, as Dre had mentioned. And So yeah, so I mean, as I took the time to process it, to really think of like the internal structure within the resort, it does make a lot of sense. Because I mean, there was even times where in the hotel, I'm not too familiar with Disneyland's like hotel operations, but it's like even with like Walt Disney Worlds, they even cut on the mousekeeping, so to speak, for the housekeepers because shorthanded, you know. So I don't know if that's Disneyland's issue with that, but
And I'm glad that you brought that up, George, because I was just going to get into that when it came to Walt Disney World versus Disneyland. Walt Disney World, pre 2020, you're looking at over 100,000 cast members on property. It's huge number. I mean, just and a lot of that was hotels. So even though hotels are open, doesn't mean that all their amenities or all their services or all their rooms will be available when they get back. And even with like the mousekeeping, for example, they're going like an every other day or maybe like a once a visit schedule, and not every day like they previously did. So they're still having problems. Well, Disney World's problems are kind of multi-layered, and it goes to California's, and I will get there. But with Florida, right now, the big problem is housing. It's finding cast members within a certain area to actually grab talent from. Right now in Florida, housing is becoming a really big concern for cast members and for the staffing levels at Walt Disney World specifically. Usually in the real estate market, you want like 6 months worth of inventory. Out in Florida, you're good to get 2 weeks worth of inventory. I mean, that's how small it actually is. And so getting people to come there and not be driving like an hour and a half away, that's really been kind of a particular issue for them. But for California, that it wasn't necessarily the amount of cast members they needed. It was how long they were closed. A lot of these, especially skilled people, they moved on. They moved on not just to different companies in different areas, but to different states even. A lot of them went to places like Iowa, places like Idaho, Washington, Oregon, Arizona. So they just kind of left this kind of huge hole in terms of talent that they've had to, not just grab people that they could to come back, but to retrain 10,000 people and to retrain 28,000. Was a substantial effort on their part, and unfortunately, for how long they were shut down, that really set them back.
Now, Dre, I want to ask you, because you know a lot of like the internal thing that you and I did a show on this. Speaking of the Hyperion, that
Sure.
When they closed down Frozen, there's a lot of logistics behind of what it takes to put on that specific show.
Yeah.
To be able to bring that back, is that more of a challenge to be able to get? Is that like a higher equity, like for as far as the performers, for the backstage hand, because they do treat that as a real Broadway style show?
They do. So I could just tell you right now, pretty easy. That show was very costly. Those costumes that you saw on there were very expensive. And that maintenance budget in those costumes were a little bit more, I think, than what Disney originally anticipated. Also, it was a very technical driven show. I can tell you right now, those sets and costumes have been destroyed. That show is unfortunately never coming back. But to get back a production like that, it's going to take a while. I mean, you're going to be looking at a new show to be written, cast, all of that. I mean, even if they started that process today, I mean, you're looking at anywhere between 4 to 6 months, realistically.
So are you more so leaning towards it would be like a production like that kind of Disney cookie cutter, sugarcoating, like Mickey's Magical Map sort of show? Or are they going to keep it like that quintessential Broadway style show?
I think they want to keep it as a Broadway style show because that theater is so large. Disney California Adventure needs capacity. That's its biggest kind of challenge right now. It's just a kind of a half-day park, and when you have World of Color and the Hyperion in there, that really bumps up the amount of activities that people can actually engage in. And with that Hyperion Theater being such a high-capacity driver, really you want a draw. And the annual passable population in Disneyland's pretty particular about which shows they'll set aside to actually see. So. I would lean towards a Broadway style production being back in there. I mean that theater was
really show coming real soon, soon. And
especially with Hollywood Land's identity crisis right now. I mean, they definitely.
well, hey, look, you can. I'm kind of half joking, but maybe it'll work. The proximity to Avengers Campus. I don't know if you guys all saw Hawkeye on Disney+.
Oh yeah,
right.
The Steve Rogers musical. That's right there.
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like that will work.
that is an idea that's kind of been floating around the community, at least. I mean, I would be welcome to that, obviously. Look, as long as it's a draw and they can keep your butt in that seat for 45 minutes an hour, I think it's good. I think they can do it. But as far as the amount of like the things that are going to come back, it's probably going to be, as we know, nighttime entertainment. That's coming back. Probably going to be parades, and then to fill those venues, the Hyperion and the Fantasyland Theater.
Yep. Wow, 50%. We got one more year to go, but we're getting there. We're getting there.
I feel like that I guess the half point of what they think, where they say 50%, which is, what is this, April? They said it in March. Yeah. Next March, this is right there. It'll be really quick, and everything will be back to normal. God willing. I mean, this pandemic is just so, unprecedented. We don't know what to think, what's going to happen next, so I'm hoping that we can get to 100% by next March, but you never know what's going to happen,
and whatever does happen, God willing, knock on wood, you'll find the four of us in the Lamplight Lounge. So I'll just leave it at that.
Exactly. Now I remember when C-Suite was talking about, by the end of the year we'll be back to pre-COVID staffing levels, and it's like, not so much. Reality does hit you in the face. Yeah. But they'll be back, and yes, we will all be at the Lamplight Lounge enjoying a drink together. Of course. For sure.
Pre-gaming it before Incredicoaster, right, Kyle?
Yes, sir. Definitely. Hopefully I don't puke on nobody, but that's not gonna happen.
Well, I want to thank you fellas for coming on today. This is a great conversation. We dove into a lot of great stuff today. And Kyle, I want to thank you for coming back on today, sir. You are a member of the OG55 family. Whenever you want to come on, you're always welcome. We always have a great time with you on here, man. Thank you.
I love this. I love you guys. Thank you guys again for having me. Obviously, I appreciate it. I wouldn't have been back if I didn't appreciate it. So thank you.
No, absolutely. And I'm going to link down below Kingdakha's YouTube channel. Click on it, subscribe, watch his content. He does great stuff. So let's subscribe to him. You're at like 2. How many subs you at right now? Like 2.
I haven't since the last time. I haven't even checked. I got a couple more followers, which I saw the notifications coming. So cool. I appreciate everybody that does come in. I'm not keeping track right now, but next time I do a video and he asks me again, I will definitely know and I'll give you a straight answer. But thank you guys. If you guys do follow me, if you do watch any of my content, I really I always say I appreciate it because I do from the bottom of my heart. So thank you.
Absolutely. So subscribe, get this guy to 1,000 subs, and watch his content. And he does amazing work. So thank you, Kyle, for coming on again, sir. Appreciate it. And Mr. Family Man, if you can let everybody home know where they can find you on social media.
Absolutely. You can find me on my YouTube channel, Disney Family Man 23, on Twitter at Disney George, and of course on Orange Grove 55's channel with Citrus Corner.
Perfect. There you go. I swear to God, every time I hear that, I think I'm getting a text message. That's my text.
That's your text. You said that the last time. Yeah, that was your text.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm getting a text message? What's going on? Dre, Mr. Freshly Squeezed Vash Guy, thank you so much for coming on. As always, sir, you can let everyone at home know where they can find you on social media.
Well, for the robust conversation, you can go to my Twitter right there. It's just like it's spelled. Yeah, it's look, sometimes you're going to have disagreements, and sometimes it's really hard to keep it within 250 characters or whatever. But, a lot of times it works, and I do love hearing feedback. It's really, really great. So you can find me right there. And to see me, well, it's on the channel you're watching right now. Is it right there, right? Let's see. Robust alert, right? To see me, it's going to be on the channel you're watching right now, Orange Grove 55 at Freshly Squeezed, your source for juice and news and info, squeezed fresh right from the Grove. So that's where you can find me.
Perfect. Well, thank you all for coming on, and thank you all for watching. Comment down below with your thoughts on Disneyland only being halfway to fully reopen, on Maynard, Disneyland cast member legend retiring. Your thoughts on that? Just everything we talked about, the character meet and greets. We even dove into Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout, Cosmic Rewind, all that stuff. Comment down below. We would love to hear from you. Like, subscribe, and as always, have a wonderful, wonderful day.